Groovy.
Roar! Well, I didn't do it as well as Godzilla. But thanks for tuning in to another cult horror movie review. This famous Japanese monster has spawned the biggest film franchise in history, with 33 productions under its belt, and 39 if we count the American movies. At this point, Toho Studios must just be sitting on a shit ton of money. But in this huge multi-billion-dollar franchise, it would be tempting for us, modern audiences, to forget that there was one release which started the whole thing. The one, the only, and the classic 1954's Godzilla. A monster movie which would pave the way for the popular Kaiju genre soon after. But just before we get going, if there's a cult horror movie you'd like me to review, leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, let me know your thoughts and feelings on the first Godzilla. It takes place in post-war Japan. Boats start to mysteriously disappear and local fishermen can't seem to be able to catch anything. Something very strange is lurking under those waters. You guessed it, a giant prehistoric-like lizard is awakened from the depth of the sea by atomic bomb testings. A very angry, seemingly unstoppable, fire-breathing reptile runs amok in Tokyo as our main character is trying to find a way to put an end to this rampage. Some would say this movie is Japan's response to The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which was released 1 year earlier in the States. And while that could be very true, I think there's more to it than that. While the characters are one-dimensional in my opinion, the strength of Godzilla relies on two things. First of all, the special effects. This is not stop-motion effects by Ray Harryhausen, but a stuntman in a suit interacting with model planes and buildings. And you know what? It actually looks good and credible, unlike in a lot of other Godzilla movies where you can definitely tell that it's just a guy in a goofy-looking costume. No, the monster in this film looks very good. Since it's shot in black and white, there's a heavy usage of dark shadows, which means that we never truly fully see Godzilla. We either look at him from far away, or from very close, or with his back turned to the camera. It's cool how his back glows when he's about to breathe fire, and his roar really sent chills down my spine every time I heard it. You can sense a feeling of impending doom when you hear that scream coming towards you. The effects look cheesy when you compare them to the Godzillas we have today, which are full of CGI done by studios with lots of money, but for the context, the time, and the cash the crew disposed of, I personally think that the 1954 original design is one of the best looking of the whole franchise. Second of all, contrary to what some people may believe, this film is not just mindless destruction and pandemonium. In fact, it takes a while before we actually see Godzilla entering the mainland and stomping all over buildings. The story sends a strong message on the dangers of the atom bomb and the usage of nuclear weapons in general. A message which must have resonated very strongly within Japanese audiences, since this was released only 9 years after the Second World War had ended. Before just being a monster movie, Godzilla is a reflection on the fears and angsts of a society which just came out of one of world history's most horrible events. There's something very human about all of this. And it's not just mass-produced, mindless chaos and destruction all over the place with no real flair or substance, something which the later movies to come would rely too much on, which would explain why I personally dislike the 2014 version, and maybe why the movies that followed only received very mixed reviews upon their release. Godzilla would go on to fight every monster imaginable, from Rodan to Hedorah to Gigan to King Kong, and even to a robotic version of himself called Mechagodzilla. But overall, this was a good monster horror movie, and I recommend it for moviegoers. It's got some great special effects, and I think it's important for people to not forget about this one. Roar on, Godzilla!